India and Pakistan had been belligerents since the partition of 1947, most often over the northern province of Kashmir. In 2002, the world anxiously watched as two nuclear powers once again faced each other, with armies massing on either side of the disputed line of control. Dr. Paul called upon the global community to fast and pray. He used his extensive political contacts behind the scenes to pursue peace, and held a huge peace rally in Chennai, broadcast live throughout the world. Reports indicated that millions attended in person over the three-day period. The parliamentary leaders in attendance felt a mighty spirit, and hearts were changed. The two foes, one largely Hindu and one predominantly Muslim, acted together to defuse the threat of nuclear war on the subcontinent. In 2003, Dr. Paul had spent weeks in Liberia at the request of President Charles Taylor, trying to help negotiate an end to 14 years of civil war. The president's reluctance to vacate his office caused many world leaders to view him as stubborn and intractable. The United States positioned Marines off the coast, ready to intervene. Finally, after weeks of counsel with Dr. Paul, Taylor assembled 6 prominent African presidents and prime ministers, informed them of his decision to go into exile, and asked Dr. Paul to oversee the departure ceremonies. According to Taylor himself, it was in direct response to Dr. Paul's intervention and counsel that he made the decision to step down and take up residence in exile in Nigeria. World leaders rejoiced that Liberia was entering a new phase, and many tried to take credit for the fundamental change in the country's power structure. But Taylor, in a strongly worded letter to the New York Times, said, "If there's going to be any credit given for my final decision to step down and leave the country, I will say 99% of it goes to Dr. K.A. Paul alone. I cannot watch all those people who had little or nothing to do with my decision of departure take credit for what Dr. Paul has done. I am forever grateful to him for his contribution in this difficult situation. Let the record show the facts. Let the people of Liberia understand this. Let President Bush recognize what Dr. Paul has done." As a result of Dr. Paul's efforts, the fighting and strife quickly subsided, and today, Liberians work toward full and equal partnership among other peaceful democratic nations. Just a few months later, in March 2004, Haiti once again faced a major crisis. A full-scale rebellion erupted to force the ouster of President Jean-Paul Aristide. For decades, coup after coup had rocked Haiti, 200 by one count, more violence than any other country in the Western Hemisphere. During this same time, Dr. Paul was conducting a summit in Washington, D.C. The door to entry in Haiti was opened in June of 2003, when members of the United States Congress approached Dr. Paul to go to the war-torn country. Dr. Paul used Global Peace One, GPI's Boeing 747, to mount a huge humanitarian mission for the desperate Haitians. Tons of food and supplies arrived at Port-au-Prince aboard GPI's 747. In a bold and daring intervention, Dr. Paul intercepted rebel leader Guy Philippe and hundreds of armed followers as they were advancing on Port-au-Prince. For more than 4 days, Guy Philippe walked, talked, and ate with Dr. Paul. He listened intently to Dr. Paul's appeal to put their weapons aside and stop the killing, as world pressure mounted for Aristide to step down. After receiving spiritual counsel, the chief rebel leader ordered civilian clothes to be brought to the room. He took off his military fatigues, left his guns, and went outside into the hotel courtyard. He told the hundreds of armed rebel followers to lay down their arms and go home. The fighting was over. In a letter dated March 5, 2004, Guy Philippe told Dr. Paul, "I am glad you came. Thank you for your advice and for helping our people. I have committed my life to you and to God to do the right thing for our nation." K.A. Paul, a village boy from India, has captured the hearts and minds of hundreds of millions throughout the world. Whether Dr. Paul is addressing the Washington, D.C. Promise Keepers rally at 1.4 million, the largest gathering of men in U.S. history, or speaking to a nation's parliament, or at the invitation of several Nobel Peace Prize winners, speaking at Deepak Chopra's Alliance for the New Humanity, the message is always the same. Love your neighbor. Care for those who have no one else to care for them. Give to those who can never pay you back. Go beyond just wanting peace to become a peacemaker. When compassion is awakened, we may even find ourselves working with an enemy to serve those even more desperate. Our hearts, our families, our communities, and our nations are changed. Join us in this vital work today and become a GPI partner. Visit us on the web at www.globalpeacenow.com. You can learn all about GPI's initiatives and find a place to volunteer your skills. Millions around the world await your response right now.